Welcome back. From organizing one of the most impactful protests in 2017 to advocating for vital humanitarian and educational program, our next guest has made significant strides in connecting different communities and addressing crucial international issues. Joining us now is the president of the Yemeni American Group, Zaid Nagi. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the great work that you guys do here.
Thank you so much. Just to start off our interview, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to become an advocate for the Yemeni American community here in New York City?
Well, I am your typical immigrant. My dad was an immigrant, and I come from Yemen. At the age of 12, my dad was here in the States, and my mom was very frustrated that he didn't build us a home. So at that early age, she was always in our head, well, you can't play until your dad build a home, you can't do this, you can't do this. So we pushed our dad to bring us here. At the age of 14, I came to the United States in hope of building my mom that home, which eventually we did. But that's the story that's my story, which is very similar to a lot of the stories of the Yemeni American community immigrant story and many immigrants. Now, how we started into advocacy, I'm a merchant, the son of a merchant. All my brothers are merchants, my uncles, everybody is a merchant in our community. And 2017, we were demonized as a community. We were presented to the world as those demons that need to be kept away. When President Trump in his first term presented the executive order, the travel ban. So in communities like mine, there are the people who still operate with the mentality that comes from back home, and you are the people who operate with the mentality of our current home. And a lot of times those worlds, they're two different worlds. And I'm one of those individuals who are in the center. So when we saw the wrong committed against our community, I felt like, okay, we're a community that we have our ups, we have our downs, we have our positive, we have our negatives, but we are not those that this executive order is presenting us to the world to be. So I felt an obligation, being that I understand both sides of the story or both sides of the world, to come and correct that. So an idea of the bodega strike showed up. Yes, we're merchants. We create jobs. We're the people who present you coffee in the morning and make you deli. We're not those demons that this executive order is making us to be. That's how I entered the advocacy world.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Tell us a little bit about that strike that you helped organize. And tell me also, what impact did that have, moving forward on the community's involvement in activism?
It's the turning point of our community. Before that, we used to think we operate under the system in Yemen, where nothing works. We're involved in politics. We're telling you stories. We're having interviews like this is a liability. It could bring apart a lot of issues. After that, the community really realized, no, we're under a different system. In this particular system, if the system actually works, if you come and show and tell your story, there's a lot to gain, and we have not stopped since then. Now, the idea of the bodega strike is this. The executive order told the world that you need to keep Yemenis from America because they're terrorists, because they're violence, because this and this and this. Many of the narrative that was set. We needed to show our face. Before then, we were relying on other forces to come and talk about us. But at that particular moment, we needed to show ourselves. So an idea came of, we're merchants. We serve hundreds of thousands of in the city alone, and we do exist around the country. And we say, let's show our faces. The idea was to close at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and have a little sign to ask our friends, our customers, those people that we've been serving for years, those people we see when they were young and now they're, to come and help us. And I believe it was an amazing day for us. It turned my community from not believing in a system to believing in a system. And we haven't stopped since.
That is amazing. And I think that goes to show the impact of community solidarity and the power that has. What were some of the challenges when organizing this strike?
The biggest challenges is going against what's in the back minds of Yemeni Americans. I myself had to stop and go into my store and pray because my mom were, don't go against the system and you're going to get in trouble. The system will be after you. You better hide. You better, that voices that's been installed is part of our programming. So getting Yemeni Americans to believe that in this system, if you show up, you have a lot to gain. That's the biggest. Now, everything else, also people who tend to take advantage of opportunities like this. There's a lot of people who try to help communities, but really, they're the cause. They might be talking about the cause, but they're the cause. I'm sure you've seen a few in your life.
Tell us a little bit about Little Yemen and how in the Bronx has that evolved over the years, and what role do you see it playing in a larger Yemeni American experience?
Little Yemen existent is a result of the war in Yemen. The world is interconnected. So before the war in Yemen, the Yemeni American story is this. You come into America, you work in a bodega, couple years, you gain a little bit of money, you go home, build a home, or you go spend a year, go spend that money, and then come back. Now, when the war occurred, that changed. But it became like, no, now it's not safe for me to travel or to keep my family. So Yemeni Americans start to bringing their family here. And once they did, they needed a place, that looks like them, that understands them, that serves them. And that's how Little Yemen developed. As for the role it plays, I believe that, we Yemeni Americans, yes, we're Yemeni Americans, but most of us, like myself, we're a Bronxite. And there's nothing that will make me more happy than helping the Bronx. And I believe Little Yemen could become almost like Little Italy, where it could be a tourist destination. We already seen that developing, where every Muslim, every Arab, everyone who's interested in understanding the Yemen story, the Arabic story, the Islamic story, now it's become a must to visit Little Yemen. And I hope that the authorities will see that and help us develop Little Yemen to become what it is. I believe that every Muslim, every tourist that wants to know that world, they don't no longer have to go into Yemen to realize it. They could come into the Bronx, a lot safer. They could have the food, they could see the clothes, they could get to understand the people, and that will bring revenue to the Bronx. And we hit a lot of birds in one stone.
That's amazing. Speaking of economics, tell us a little bit about how the Yemeni-owned bodegas shaped the local economy and culture of neighborhoods right here in the Bronx.
Yemen, throughout the years, maybe even decades and centuries, we never have a working government. So when that happened, a byproduct of that is people relying on themselves. And when people start relying on themselves, an entrepreneurial spirit develops. So that's why more than 80% of Yemeni Americans are merchants, and that's why there's approximately close to 10,000 bodegas in the city of New York that are owned by Yemeni Americans because of the entrepreneurial spirit. So when you bring that entrepreneurial spirit into neighborhoods, and the bodega, in my opinion, is the first step of the American dream. Most communities that enter the state, that's where they started. And once that happens, you bring a story into a neighborhood like that, you're willing to open 24 hours because you're still hunting the opportunity you want to be. And also, you bring a different experience into a neighborhood. You bring different food, you bring different style, and that affects a lot. And one of the things, I worked 20 years behind a counter. Yes. And the bodega, in my opinion, is the real community center. Not everybody go into a restaurant. Not everybody go, but everybody goes into the bodega. From the angel of the neighborhood to the criminal, everybody. From the grandma who's suffering to the child that just barely walking, everybody enters the neighborhood. And by doing so, you get to see stories. And we Yemeni Americans are funded. There's 3 movies about barbershop, none about a bodega. So hopefully one day our how the world from our eyes is told. There's a lot of things, and hopefully we will utilize not only our entrepreneurial spirit, but also our infrastructure to help the greater good. And we could fight crime through the bodega, and we could find, deal with mental health issues. We could. It's all happening in front of us. So.
I want to thank you so much today for coming and sharing your story of community involvement and solidarity. And let's get that movie made.
Yes, the script is ready.
Oh, okay.
Yes, The Bodega Man.
Thank you so much
You're
again.
welcome. Thank you.
For more information, you can visit their website at YemeniAmericanGroup.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open right after this.